Okay, so let's start the course. Yeah, there's something I need to talk about first. Is this is a list who joined the class. I mean, I saw 2 students join in with, I think this is your mobile phone number. Uh, if it's possible, please change it to be your student ID and the name. Because in this course, we check your attendance online, and it is required by the university. Because under this situation, every student needs to be attending the course. So yes, so for these 2 students, if possible, can you change your name? Because you can see, you can change your name here. Right click it if possible. And one more thing is, could the monitor let me know how many students are still not in China? I mean, because on my list there should be 29 students, but how many of you are not in China? The network for today should be good enough now, because I just got a new router and amplifier, so it should work. Okay, yeah. Okay. So, do any one of you knows how many students are not in China at this moment? Okay, anyway. Okay, let's leave this question. Let's continue the course first. We can talk about it later. Okay, so this is what we stopped in on Tuesday. We have drawn this ground. It's more like a playground. Oh, I think this is above the ground. Let's adjust it. These 2. This is also above the ground. I see. Okay, so we can make this playground a little more realistic with few changes. Let me see why. Yeah. I need to shut down the WeChat. Okay, so if you have a question, just leave the message in the discussion area. Because when I run the WeChat, it's a lot of memory. Okay, it will getting better soon. Yeah. Not so neck. Okay. Yeah, let's add something more. I mean, first let's add some trees, because we want to show you something more dramatically. So let's add the trees. Infinity static mesh. Okay, so we jump to the top view, adding the trees here. Okay, so there's a tree. If I double click it, you can see the tree clearly. In fact, the tree is not that real. This is not from the mega scan. So basically, you can see it's more like some piece of plant and grouped together. So it's more like become a tree, but it's not a mega scan tree. So I add it here, and I need to adjust the size. And put it to the ground. Let's check in the view. Okay. More or less. Only thing I need to change is the tree should not penetrate the wall. So move out a little bit. Then go to the top view again and add something more. Add some more trees. Little bit of rotation, then it looks totally different. Check it in the wheel. Okay. Modify it a little bit from here. Just want it to look slightly different. Add one more tree here and do some rotation. And let's ignore this part and add several more trees here, because that's a perfect place to display the light effect or the visual effects. It might be okay. Let me check from the perspective way. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so now we have this kind of ground. We can add some more details. I mean, from the game complaint or some film complaint, they always have the guy who dedicate to design this ground, and to make it real, they have to take a lot of knowledge from real life. For example, uh, for a place like this, there might be a lot of plants near this area. I mean, near the roof of these rocks. So to make it real, usually we can add some small plants here. Take some time to compile. It should not look like this. Usually, this kind of plant, they have a little bit rotation, so it looks like it's go out from this rock. There might be a lot of this small plant. Let's wait until it's getting lighter. These plants usually they just near these rocks. You should always check in different views to make sure they're on the ground and near this rock. Okay, I lost it. So I need to select from here. Nope. Rotate some more. Yeah. So by adding more of these small things, I mean these details, to make it look more real. Okay. I won't add too many, but just few of them, so you will get what I mean. You can add a lot of plants. It depends on your asset. If you have a lot of asset, yes, you can just add in them. Okay, now at least this small area looks a little bit real now. Usually if there are this, there should be have some small grass or some other things. We can find if we have these things in our asset. Yes. Okay, so when I draw the things here, something you might notice is because it's getting very dark, right? Unless I stay here for a longer time, it's getting lighter. Why it happens? Because the game engine, the Unreal Engine, try to simulate the human eyes. So for human eyes, we adapt the environment. If we stay in some dark area for a longer time, we can see a lot of darker things clearly. I mean, more clearly. This is for human being. It also simulated in the Unreal Engine. But we don't want that. Uh, we want this environment looks more stable. So first we can add some skylight to simulate the environment, ambient light. We can put it here. I mean, once it put there, the sky changes. Okay, so with the skylight, we can see things more clearly. Right? Yes, and then we can do something more. Oh, we won't do anything here in this area. Let's add something more. If we play the game, if we stay here, let's find some very dark area. Okay, we don't have that quite dark area. Let's try to play it and see. Yeah, if I play the game, you will see what I mean. So when we stay in very bright area, everything getting darker. But when we turn back to the dark area, the things still going bright. How we change this? We don't want this. The way we can change it is using something called the post-process volume. It's in visual effect called post-processing volume. The reason it's called post-processing is it is done at the very last stage of the rendering. Okay, so when we finish drawing this frame, I mean, just see this windows as a frame. When we draw this frame, after we finish everything, we can do the post-processing, add some more effect on it, and they are all in post-processing. So, for post-processing, we can change this closure, because this is trying to simulate the camera. By making these two values, the mean brightness and max brightness the same, we can kill this kind of adjustment. And after that, we need to return to infinity. Oh, I need to select the post. Yeah, and extend to infinity. Because the post-process volume, it is a volume, so it has a size. In order for this kind of setting to work for the whole level, I mean for the whole game on this level, we need to extend this area to infinite. Okay, so now the light is stable. At this time, if we stay in a bright area and go back, it won't change. It's still the same. Okay. Now it looks great, but not that great. Why was that? Because when we jump to the ground and we check the sun, yeah, it looks like the sun, but not so great. And if we check the sky, we can see this ground. There are very blurred boundary between the sky and the ground, but we don't see any of the cloud, and we cannot change that. The post-processing volume can create some fog, but it cannot do something. The atmospheric fog can add some fog, but it cannot simulate something like the cloud and the sun shining across through the cloud. Okay, so we won't do that. We won't have that kind of things. What we can do is we add something called the BP sky field. BP sky field is it's just the sky and the ground. It simulates everything in the sky, like the cloud. We can have the cloud there. We can change the speed of the cloud. We can simulate the sun shining through the cloud and cast some rays, some shots. So we can add it here. But once we add it, we need to change its position. It should always be on 0, 0, 0, so original place. In that case, we can arrange the night. Yeah, here for the directional night, we can choose the directional night and make them together. So the sun is the same with this sky field. Now we can see, actually we can see some of the cloud. Although it's not clear, but there is some cloud. We can always change it here, like a cloud speed, cloud opacity here. And every time we do some change, especially about the sound, we need to refresh material. Now we want to move the sound a little bit. Let's go to sky. We want to move the sound to around this area, so we can see the sound ray going through these trees, and we can see these shafts. So what we can do, in order to do that, we need to hide the sky field first, and rotate the sound a little bit. Somewhere, where is the sound? Okay, still too low. What's wrong with this? Oh, sorry. I think I made it wrong. It's not skyline, it's direction light. That's why skylight should not work, not change at all. The direction light, which we use to simulate the, here. We want to lift the sound a little bit, so we can see it going through the trees. Yeah. So when we move this time, we can see this sound shining through this trees, the top of the tree. Notice that when we change the sound, the direction, we see a lot of preview things on the ground. It means when we run the game, first we need to bake the light. Okay. So here the sound is there. Let's add it a little bit more. Okay. Then we change the intensity because this is more like the afternoon or the morning, so the sun brightness should not be that strong. We change it to 1, and then we unhide the sky field. But now the sun disappeared because we didn't refresh it. We need to choose and refresh material. Now the sun is here. At this stage, you can see a lot of clouds. Right? And if you stay here for a little longer time, you will see actually the cloud is moving. We can increase the speed to make it move a little bit fast. I see the sky, the cloud is moving. Especially this area, you can see the cloud is moving. Now let's add something more to make the lights look much more real. That's the shafts. We go back to this directional light, and under the light shaft, first we add the shaft light shaft occlusion. Occlusion is something like the dark area. If it's when the light is going through some trees, it might cause some dark area. And there's another one called the sharp bloom. Yeah, this is bright area. We can have both of them. But now this sun looks too bright. We modified it in the BP spur. We change this to be 2. And also adjust this cloud opacity and star brightness a little bit. Now we can see this kind of effect is much better. It's more like the real thing. You see, when I move this player, I change the viewport, the sun rays change. The bright area is bloom, and the dark part is occlusion. So if you remember here, we add something like the occlusion is for this dark area, and for the bloom is for this bright area. Okay, so if we play the game now, it looks much better. Yes, we need to rebuild things. After rebuild, we will see the things is looking better than it seems. Okay, let's rebuild the light and see how it looks like. Okay, map check found some issues. Show me something. Okay, yeah, it happens. Because when I put some leaves, it's under the ground. So, yeah. So it might cause some problem. Because it's under the ground, not above the ground. Especially for these 3 things. Move out a little bit, so it might not, but generally it's okay. Still build everything, except these plants. Yeah, just these 2 objects need to be built. If I build again, it should. But you see, all this preview text then disappear. Because we have already rebuilt it. Okay, still some collision. Yeah, I see. I know what's going on. They have no collision area. So it means you can go through it. So it means here, it's like, for the object, if it goes here, it can go through it. We don't have adding some collision here. This is the problem, but yeah, we don't care. So it means for real game, we need to add some collision, so we cannot go in through the rock. Okay. Finally, to make this more real, let's add something called the blueprint. A blueprint actually is designed for the game developer who are not good at coding. So it is true, if you know nothing about the C++, nothing about the coding, you can still make some games. And thanks for this blueprint size, because the blueprint, it helps people who do not know the coding. They can just find, okay, I want to do this thing, is there some way to do it, and find some template in blueprint and put them together, or Google it to find how to put them together, then they make the thing. So we want to add some blueprint things here. So for blueprint, because it is doing something you expect it. It's not like this word or this status, they just there, they do nothing. Okay, so for this word and these things, they're all props. They're static. They never change or never do anything. But actor or blueprint actor is different. Just like the movie. In the movie, there may be a desk, there may be some shops or something. They are static. They won't change. But there are also some people walking around. Okay, so for these things we call them actor. An actor is doing something you want them according to the plan. So that's actor, and we call it in Unreal. We call it the blueprint actor. First, let's save it, just in case. So to do that, let's add one. First, create a folder. Call this BP actor. A lot of actors, we put it here. Double click and create a blueprint class, which is actor. And we call it BP touch. So we want to have some touch. It's shiny, right? The touch, there may be some fire on the touch and it's shining the ground. And also the area. Okay. So let's add it. First, let's build it. Because here we just create this class and it has nothing. Let's see how to build this. To have a touch, first we need to have this. Have a touch static. Also a touch mesh. Yes, and then we drag this. Thing here. And then this is just a touch. We don't have the fire first. For fire, we need a particle, which is fire. So we need a particle system to simulate the fire. Okay, let's go here. For this area, we can do something. We can have the mesh, and then we can have this event graph. Actually, this is the blueprint area. Okay, so we can adjust something just according to our purpose. And what we've done here is a blueprint. And finally, we move this to the same level and then add a light, a point light. We use a point light to simulate the fire. And we move the point light a little bit higher because for the fire, usually the lights come from the top. Okay, so we can compile it and save. So now at the BP actor, we have the file. We can put fire into the ground. Let's have one more. Let's make it from change this location. First, put it on the ground. Then we change the location. It's better we change it from the top view so that we know what's going on. You know, from these the top view, the particle system looks different. Actually, it's also because the particle system has a size, and it also eats a lot of hardware. Okay, so it's heavily on performance. So it's red in this top view. Okay, we can see this shadow. We can see if it's lit something, lit the environment, but not looks that real. And that's what we can do here. We can change it a little bit to make it look real. That's we use the blueprint function. Yeah, we use this event graph. When we comes here, this is actually the part of when we build this torch. But previously we just used the viewport. Now we change the event graph. Event graph is more like, okay, for this static mesh, what we wanted to do according to some kind of scheme, or what we want to do according to this, some change. Okay, there are three nodes here. The event begin, the event action begin overlap. It usually means your player just hit it. Event trick. It's also like how you hit it. This is more like you stand on it. This is like you just hit it. Or it's more like some switch is a trick. It's a tick. And this is more like you stand on some place and then it changes. Okay, but what we need is we only need the event begin. We don't need these two, so we can move it a little bit away. Just leave it here. Okay, so yeah, let's have 5 minutes break, and then we will see how we change the file intensity. I mean, to make the file looks more real, so it can shine the environment and make the environment looks much realistic than what we have now. Okay, so let's have a break, and we will continue around 2:35. Hmm? Okay, so let's go back. Let's close these things. I don't want. Yes. Now this is the blueprint. The blueprint is all like the visualized programming area. It's like you can. It's possible for people who do not know anything about the C++ or any other coding things. They can still do something great. They start from this blueprint. I mean the event graph. So for event graph, what we want the torch to have some shiny fire. Okay, so if it's a shiny fire, the fire should the intensity of the area should change. I mean, yeah, it changed a little bit. So in order to do that, first we begin the event play. So it means when the torch is rendered, the event begin. So we delay something. First, we need a delay function. Delay function is built in by the Unreal people. They built in this function. So it means, okay, so first the torch is rendered, then it's true, it goes to delay function. But delay function needs some input area. If we do not input anything, it's just the point 2. But we want it shiny in randomly. So we have random function in range. This is more like when we do the coding, we can choose a random function, and the random number is from 0 to 0.2. So in this range, each time it's not here, it calls the random function and returns a value from 0 to 0.2. And this is the equation. When we want this to change the so we want this to change the intensity. Yes, I see. It's because some next happens on my machine. Let me do it. Uh, I will change my. Okay, so can you hear me now? Because might be some code is wrong on my laptop. So okay, so can you hear it now? Everything okay? Okay, let's change back. Then it might work. Okay, so can you hear me? So can you hear something? Okay. Yeah, it should work now. Yeah. So this is a delay function. Delay function is like, okay, so after this short area, this function return true. So we want this to change the intensity of the file. So for the file, this is only particle system. It has no light. So what we actually doing is we change the intensity of the point light. So for this point light, each time the delay happens, we want it to change the intensity or set the intensity of the light. So every time it's finished, it goes here. So it means, after this delay, we change the intensity. But how we change it? We want it shiny, right? So we want to give it a range. To give it a range, we copy this and paste this. We use this value to set a new intensity, but the value of intensity needs to change greatly. So we change it from 3,000 to 8,000. So now we can change it, but it's only done once. We want to keep doing this. So after setting the intensity, we code, we say that there's a loop here. We want the loop going. So this is a loop. We want this loop keep going. So basically, it works like what we did for the coding, but this is quite friendly for the people who know nothing about coding. It's just follow these steps. Okay. So now also count here. See, I'm doing the same thing again. It's doing the same again. Uh, yeah, this is a loop. So this means there's a loop. So when it sets intensity finish, it go back to delay and complete set intensity. Finish delay, complete set intensity. So follow this loop. So this is like a while loop, or yeah, it's like a while loop. So while this setting intensity finish, it go back to delay. I will rerun this classroom, so just wait a minute. You don't need to do anything. Just 1